As listeners, we want you to understand that the solution of business, tax, and legal issues depends on many factors, including local, state, and federal laws. Listeners' names and questions may be simulated. The show is not intended to offer business, tax, or legal advice, and Spiegel and Utrera PA, its attorneys, and Lawrence J. Spiegel recommend you seek legal advice from an attorney about your specific matter. AmeriLawyer.com presents Start or Expand Your Business Today. There are only two types of people, those in business and those who wish they were. Join Larry Spiegel, entrepreneur, author, and managing shareholder of Spiegel and Utrera PA, with host Joe Castello, as they tackle issues and challenges associated with starting, expanding, buying, or selling your business in today's highly competitive marketplace. It's time to start or expand your business today. And now, here's Larry Spiegel and Joe Castello.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to AmeriLawyer.com presents Start or Expand Your Business Today. I'm Joe Castello, and we are once again joined in studio by entrepreneur, author, and managing shareholder at Spiegel and Utrera PA, Larry Spiegel. Larry, welcome back.
Well, thank you, Joe. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be back, and I hope we have a lot of good questions coming at us from entrepreneurs out there, and we can help them.
We have questions, and we're going to do our best to try to help them. Of course, people out there, if you've got a question, 800-520-7600. There's a lot of people out there who aspire to own their own business, get something going on the side, maybe in addition to their day job. It takes an idea. It takes hard work. It takes commitment. And, Larry, what do you always say? There's two types of people.
Those in business and those who wish they were.
I wish I was in business.
Okay, Joe.
800-520-7600, radio show at AmeriLawyer.com. Sometimes, though, there's a hurdle, a problem arises. You don't know who to ask, what to do. Maybe you're the only one in this business that you know. And that's where we come in. If you've got a question about starting, expanding, buying, or selling your business, give us a call, 800-520-7600. It works just like a voicemail, so anytime, day or night, you can give us a call, 800-520-7600. Just leave your name and your question, and we may use it right here on the show. You can also email us, radioshow at AmeriLawyer.com. Larry, are you ready?
I'm ready to go, Joe. Let's get started.
Ready to roll? Sounds great. First question. This one coming from Mark. I always hear people talking about shares of their companies. Is this the same as shares on the stock market? How many shares does a normal company have? And does everyone start out with the same amount? Great show. Thanks, says Mark.
Well, Mark, there's a number of questions you have there. Be happy to answer them. The shares in the stock market are the same. The only difference is they're registered. So they've been registered for public offerings, and that's how they get into the market and so on. Now, the typical private company that you set up is not registered, does not have registered securities, so you wouldn't be selling those in the stock market. However, it doesn't mean the company that you start may not eventually go public and sell shares. It could register shares down the road, and that would be the normal process of how that works. Whether or not companies all start out with the same amount, no. Some companies may start out with more, some with less. It really doesn't make much difference in the beginning because we're only talking about the shares that are actually outstanding. The outstanding shares that represent the ownership in the company. You could have one share of stock in a company. If that's the only one that's outstanding, you're the 100% owner. Same company, you could have set it up with 100 million shares, may have all those and be the 100% owner. What happens is that in many states, they tax according to the number of shares. So that's why when we have a regular corporation that we're using, whether it's an S-Corp or for that matter a limited liability company, the company is capitalized generally with a smaller quantity of shares because we do not want to pay any kind of tax to a state other than what the minimum tax would be annually when it came time, or for that matter in the beginning when we filed the company for you. Generally speaking, we're getting the maximum amount of shares for the minimum filing fee, and that keeps us also within the minimum tax structure each year for that particular company in that state where it was formed.
100 million shares. That's a lot of wallpaper.
Well, there are situations that we see from time to time. A client has an investor who wants to put $10,000 in the company. The client has to decide he's going to get, let's say for that, he's going to get 5% of the company. Now, the client has a decision to make at that time. He's got, let's say, 5,000 shares in the company. A person's going to get 10% of the company, let's say. Is he going to give him 500 shares, or would he rather give him 5,000 or 50,000? If he wants to give him more, although it's still the same percentage, he would increase the capitalization of the company. So you could see where there would be a psychological effect to that. An entrepreneur says, yeah, let me increase the capitalization so I can give him more shares. It's still the same percentage.
Very, very interesting. Next question. Often rolling here on the show. My name is Rich. Rich writes, my question regards a recent purchase of service that I made. I paid an agency to create artwork for my website, which they did. Now I'm using the artwork, and I have been contacted by an attorney stating that it is infringement on his client's trademark. I paid for this, and now I have to abandon it or fight it out? Can I hold the agency who did the artwork responsible? How could I have prevented this from happening, says Rich.
Well, Rich, you could hold the agency responsible whether you had an agreement or not, but it would be a lot better if you had a written agreement with them, and it would have spelled out what the work would have been and what they would have been responsible for. But here, based upon what you're telling me, I would say they're responsible. As far as how you could have prevented it from happening, that's difficult to answer because I'm not sure what the actual violation is other than the trademark. I'm not sure whether that's a registered trademark, what I would call a common law trademark, or just an attorney alleging that his client has a trademark. So you could see very easily where you could have done everything possible and still be contacted by an attorney with some allegation that you're using his client's trademark, but how would you have known that that even existed out there without having done a very comprehensive search into the name? Now, again, I go back to say, well, what is the violation? Is the violation one word, a phrase, whatever? So it's hard to get my hands around it. So I'm not 100% sure it could have even been prevented, but that does not mean that just because you've been contacted by a lawyer that they have any grounds for doing anything, or that you even have a right at this point to blame that agency. However, I'd certainly turn to that agency and I'd ask them about it and see what they had to say about it. And you're going to find yourself in the middle of this, probably.
I can imagine this is something that happens a lot, whether it be what you said about the lawyer, just who knows whether or not he's got the right to do it, and the agency, who knows what they were doing when they created it.
Exactly.
Mark, thanks for your question. Appreciate it. And if you've got a question for Larry, 800-520-7600. If you're cruising around in your car, don't forget, when you get home, you can check out more episodes of Start or Expand Your Business Today by going to AmeriLawyer.com/radio show. Our episodes are up there, and maybe you didn't hear your question answered today on the show. Perhaps it's on one of the episodes on the website. And also, while you're there, send us an email, radioshow@AmeriLawyer.com. We'll be back after this with more of your questions on AmeriLawyer.com presents Start or Expand Your Business Today.
Start or expand your business today.
There are some mistakes in business that may cause the occasional headache. Then there are some mistakes in business that may keep you up all night for weeks and months at a time. Avoid those mistakes by seeking strategic business and legal advice from a team of attorneys ready to help you. Spiegel and Joe PA's General Counsel Club can assist you with the tough legal and business questions at crucial times. Call toll-free 800-734-9900 to receive your annual membership and be entitled to get unlimited strategic business and legal advice for a year. The General Counsel Club can assist with how to buy or sell sell business, converting hobby expenses into legitimate business expenses. What are legitimate business expenses for tax purposes? Tips on leasing a business location, whether for retail, office, warehouse, or industrial. Leasing versus buying options for vehicles and equipment. IRS examinations, audits, liens, levies, deficiencies, and settlements of tax dispute. Knowledge is power, and knowing that Spiegel and Joe PA's General Counsel Club is one phone call away may give you the confidence to succeed during the day and rest well at night. Call 800-734-9900 or log on to AmeriLawyer.com today.
Got a question about starting, expanding, buying, or selling your business? Email radioshow@AmeriLawyer.com. Listeners' questions may air on episodes of AmeriLawyer.com presents Start or Expand Your Business Today. That's radioshow@AmeriLawyer.com. Now back to Start or Expand Your Business Today.
Welcome back to Start or Expand Your Business Today. Joe Castello with Larry Spiegel. Larry, we are off and running. The questions are coming in.
They are, Joe. I hope I'm providing enough information for these entrepreneurs of what their appetites and help them see these issues and how diverse they can actually be.
You say whet your appetite. I think that's a perfect analogy, so to speak, because I know myself, even just listening to some of these questions and answers, it gives me ideas. It's like food for thought.
Right, I could see that with you, Joe.
Really?
So, yep, I see your mind going.
The smoke coming out of my ears?
Well, I didn't say that. I can't see that. You have your headphones on.
Let's get back to the questions, Larry.
Okay.
This next one coming from Don. Don writes, "Hello, my name is Don, and my company has an outstanding balance with another company that I do business with. It's kind of like a line of credit I have with them. Recently, I have heard through the grapevine that they are going to file for bankruptcy. If they're going to go out of business, I'm wondering if I can avoid paying my balance. Thanks," says Don.
Well, Don, that's a great question, and I can tell you're thinking. I'm wondering, why don't you load up on their inventory, buy some more products from them? I'm not sure what it is they sell, but I'd load up on it if you thought you could sell them. Of course, we're not just going to buy them if we can't sell them. That's what I would do, and I don't think we can answer the question about if they go bankrupt. That doesn't let you off the hook, but it may very well mean that they may morph into liquidation. By not paying the bill, there may come a point in time where you may get a very favorable offer to pay the account that you owe them. So I could see easily where there's a discount in your future. Now, remember that a lot of these companies that go into bankruptcy, they get reorganized and they come out of bankruptcy again and continue. So it depends, on the products that you're purchasing from them. They may be very important to your business, and you want to maintain your relationship with them. You could imagine that there's been a lot of companies go bankrupt over the years that don't exist any longer, and they took down a lot of businesses with them. So I'm not sure how integral this particular potential bankrupt is to your business. But, just taking it at face value, what you said, I'd be buying their products, and I would be looking to make some kind of a compromise down the road. But I wouldn't be the moving party. They'd be coming to me at some point.
Now, we've spoken in the past about burning bridges, et cetera, and so on. Just because their company is going bankrupt, they're still going to be the same people you have dealt with, and if you try to take advantage, they might be angry.
Well, no, I don't think that that wouldn't bother me that much. These are distant situations that I see where you're buying products or whatever, but he has to apply whatever. If it's a local thing, if this is his neighbor, well, that's one thing. But if it's some nondescript company in another state, no, it's a different situation, a set of facts he looks at. We're not talking about being dishonest, but we are trying to maximize every opportunity that comes our way.
Don, thanks for your question. Next one, this one coming from John. John writes, "A friend of mine created a website for me and my business. The site is on his servers, but it is all for my business. Who owns the site? And should I create an agreement that states who owns this intellectual property?"
Well, I think that's a great question. First of all, it is a mistake, obviously, for any listener out there to take your website and put it on a friend's server. That would be like not the thing to do. You can go out there, probably put your website on a server for as little as, $9.95 a month, $19.95 a month. You'll have your own username and password, and these server companies that are out there are pretty reliable and dependable today. And some of them offer some sort of duplicity also, where they even guarantee you that your site will never be down because they've got another server standing by ready to go into action. If anybody would consider doing this with a friend or an acquaintance, by all means, you'd have a written agreement. You have to be very careful with this intellectual property because it could very well be the main focal point of your business, the ability to operate that website. If you can't get at it to make changes, if somebody could take it down arbitrarily without your permission or knowledge, those would be terrible things. So, as I stated in the beginning, you need to move your website. I think that would be the test with your friend. You're going to move the website to another company, and you're going to actually pay for that service.
And we see friendships go on the rocks in business, and we see business people become friends. It's just you got to see how it goes. You always talk about how getting along together is vital when multiple people are going to be involved in business transactions.
Yeah, and we've seen a myriad of situations at the General Counsel Club with things like this. This fellow just mentioned his website, but we have clients that have databases in their websites. Suddenly there's a disagreement between the owners, and one owner has the ability to access the website and the other one doesn't. And that means that the one that can access it has the ability to get to all the customers and the other one doesn't. So we're taking this one step further now with multiple owners and all the information on the website. It can be a big problem.
Absolutely, and it seems like it's easy. Yeah, make me a website, and then next thing you know, these potential problems do arise. But great question. Hope it all works out for you. If you've got a question for Larry, 800-520-7600, or email us, radioshow@amerilawyer.com. We'd be happy to try to figure it out, get to the bottom of it here on the show, wherever you happen to be across the country listening to the program. And remember, you can access more episodes at amerilawyer.com/radio show. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back to get to Larry's final thought right here on amerilawyer.com presents Start or Expand Your Business Today.
amerilawyer.com.
Start or expand your business today. Form your corporation for as little as $104.95. Each corporation is complete and includes state filing fees, corporation records book, corporate seal, articles of incorporation, corporate bylaws, corporate minutes, stock certificates, preliminary name search, and attorney's fees. Spiegel and Joe PA and amerilawyer.com can also help you with assumed or fictitious business names, advising on legitimate business expenses for tax purposes, discussing the converting of personal expenses into deductible business expenses, assisting you in developing a service agreement for your business, answering your questions on the advantages of minority-owned business certification, explaining the differences between a corporation and a limited liability company, and the benefits of creating either a regular corporation, S corporation, or a limited liability company. Knowledge is power. Order over the phone at 800-603-3900. That's 800-603-3900, or online at amerilawyer.com.
Got a question about starting, expanding, buying, or selling your business? Call 800-520-7600. Just leave your name and your question. Listeners' questions may air on episodes of amerilawyer.com presents Start or Expand Your Business Today. That's 800-520-7600. Now back to Start or Expand Your Business Today.
Final segment here on Start or Expand Your Business Today. Joe Castello and Larry Spiegel. Larry, we're burning through the questions.
Yes, we are, and they're very good questions that we're getting, too.
They are all over the board, and I guess that just is an example of what the business world is out there. what the business world out there is like. You never know what you're going to encounter.
You never know, and every day it's different. You put the key in the door, and you don't know what you're going to have to deal with. But everybody has their daily routine. We're not saying that's not the case, but having said that, there's a whole host of issues that come up all the time that we didn't really plan for.
And that's what makes it exciting. And, of course, if you've got a question, 800-520-7600 or radioshow@AmeriLawyer.com. Back to the questions. Larry, you ready?
Ready.
Next question.
Yeah, I got a question. My name is Gary. I own a trademark for my company, and recently I noticed someone else is using the same name. How do you recommend I handle this without it turning ugly and, more importantly, expensive? Thanks in advance for your answer.
What we would recommend is that the offender receive a cease and desist letter from you or a demand letter. Could you write those yourself? Perhaps you could. Of course, we would recommend that you hire a lawyer to do that. It's something we're doing all the time. The idea behind the letter is to put the offender on notice to stop using your name and to see then from where that takes us, because we've seen situations where offenders will immediately stop using the name. There's other situations where offender says, well, you're using my name. I was the one that had that name, and I've been using it longer than you have. And then there's the other situation where out of this dispute comes a license agreement between the both parties. They both agree to continue to use the name, protect the name, or do whatever in the future. So it can take a number of twists and turns without it turning expensive, but it's still going to cost a little money. Now, did we trademark the name? He does say he owns the trademark. Okay. Well, that's good because he has a bundle of rights that he otherwise would not have. Now, I'm not clear whether it's a state or federal registration, but regardless, he's got a leg up on the other party.
Next question. Guys, in addition to my day job, I've started an online store. I'm wondering if I need to open a corporation for just online sales, says Frank.
Frank, we would recommend that you do start your corporation for your online business. And the reasons are that you're going to separate your personal liability from the business. You're going to limit your own personal liability with the corporation or the limited liability company. You're going to be able to establish business credit, and by that we mean in the name of the business. You're going to have a situation where you have ease of transferability of ownership of the business. You're going to begin to take advantage of all the tax breaks that are available to you because your corporation or limited liability company will file its own separate tax return.
The Internet getting very big these days. So many people starting online businesses, and it's a worldwide entity, Larry. Does that change the way you guys work with corporations, or it's all about what state you happen to be based in, and the online business that sells to the world in one state, is it the same as an online business that sells to the world in another state? And how do you negotiate the different state laws?
Well, basically, we have to go back and say where you have your physical presence. So if you're physically located, let's say, in the state of New York, that's where you're operating your business from. Typically, you'll be operating with a New York entity. With that entity, and we're doing business, let's say, in another state. But what are we doing in the other state? Just shipping products there? That's one thing. Then we're not qualifying our business in another state. But let's say we had to go perform a service in the other state as part of our business that was physically located in New York. That's a different story, and there we would probably have to qualify that business to operate in the other state. But we're not interested even in that because we don't want to advise a client to do that. What we would advise a client is that they would set up another entity in that other state, because we do not want the taxing authorities in this other state where we have to go to do business to be able to have any jurisdiction over our, let's say, New York corporation. Now, the reason for that is because the United States Supreme Court ruled many, many years ago that a state has the right to tax an entity that does business in their state. But here's the interesting thing. They can extract a tax and collect money even though you never made a profit in that other state. Why? Because of complex formulas they allow the states to use. So the tax may be based on the assets of your entity, let's say, as an example. So you can see where it can get a little complex. However, if you had a list, let's say you looked at General Motors or some other large United States corporation, and we could see all the companies they have, all the subsidiaries they have. There would be hundreds of them because their lawyers have determined, well, look, we want to set up a separate company to do business in ABC County in Alabama because we don't even want to cross over a county line for some reason. It may have something to do with the business, could be the license of the business, could be taxing. So the issues can come right down even to a county. I haven't seen them at the city level, but anything's possible. So you could see it doesn't lend itself to just a yes or no answer. You really have to look at the situation and decide what it is you're going to do. Many times clients are unwilling to set up the other entity because they're not sure whether that's going to continue to be a part of their business. So they procrastinate and put that off, usually to their detriment.
Usually to their detriment. And that's going to do it for this week's questions. And now it's time for my favorite part of the show, Larry's final thought.
Well, thank you, Joe. I was thinking you may have the loftiest goals, the highest ideas, and the noblest dreams. But remember, nothing works unless you do. So for every entrepreneur out there, you must work, plan your work, and work your plan.
Larry, great job as usual. And if you've got a question about starting, expanding, buying or selling your business, or maybe even business or legal strategy, give us a call. 800-520-7600. It works just like a voicemail, so anytime, day or night, you can call 800-520-7600. Leave your name and your question, and we may use it on the show. You can email us at radioshow@amerilawyer.com. He's Larry Spiegel, I'm Joe Castello, and we'll see you next time right here on AmeriLawyer.com presents Start or Expand Your Business Today.
AmeriLawyer.com, where understanding your business is our business.
There are some mistakes in business that may cause the occasional headache. Then there are some mistakes in business that may keep you up all night for weeks and months at a time. Avoid those mistakes by seeking strategic business and legal advice from a team of attorneys ready to help you. Spiegel and Joe PA's General Counsel Club can assist you with the tough legal and business questions at crucial times. Call toll-free 800-734-9900 to receive your annual membership and be entitled to get unlimited strategic business and legal advice for a year. The General Counsel Club can assist with selecting a legal and tax structure for your business, building business credit, when a trust should own your corporation or limited liability company. What are the benefits of forming a corporation or limited liability company? What are the differences between a corporation and limited liability company? Using employees versus independent contractors. Knowledge is power, and knowing that Spiegel and Joe PA's General Counsel Club is one phone call away may give you the confidence to succeed during the day and rest well at night. Call 800-734-9900 or log on to AmeriLawyer.com today.
AmeriLawyer.com, where understanding your business is our business.